we bring in our next guest to talk Bomber football, but a little bit of Winnipeg Jets as well. Andrew Paterson, the Hustler. He's the host of Winnipeg Sports Talk.
What's up, fellas?
No, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Look,
I'm doing well. I'm fired up for my Chiefs to play tonight and triple header, Banjo Bowl in the CFL tomorrow, and then the first weekend of NFL. I mean, honestly, one of my favorite weekends of the year. Maybe number one, to be honest.
Before we talk football, can I ask you, after seeing that Johnathan Toews picture of him in the practice jersey the other day, and I'm not a Jets fan, I don't have any skin in the game, but that's got to feel good as a Jets fan, right? The hometown guy he's home and he's going to be suiting up. How are you feeling about Jets hockey this year?
Oh, man, I'm fired up. I mean, listen, it's a tough act to follow, winning the President's Trophy, and obviously there's been some offseason changes with Nikolai Ehlers leaving, who's a big loss, but I mean, the Toews signing is the most significant signing in Winnipeg Jets 2.0 history, by far. I mean, I guess you could talk about Bobby Hull, like back before my time, coming to Winnipeg, which in a lot of ways, I'm not sure we've got a team or anything happens if that doesn't happen. But in this era of the 2.0 Winnipeg Jets, I mean, there's nothing that's even close to it. And I think a lot of Winnipeg fans, when the team came back, watching Toews win his cups and being one of the top players in the world, always dreamed of this, but it never seemed like it was ever really a possibility. And, you know, with the amount of interest he had in his services coming back to the league, the fact that he decided to play in his hometown with the Winnipeg Jets, I think says a lot about him, but also a lot about where this team is right now. I mean, he wasn't coming back just to play on the fourth line somewhere and say, oh, I made it back to the NHL, wanted a chance to win, and also wanted to really kind of regain his love of the game. And, you know, I give so much credit to Rick Bowness originally and Scott Arniel for the way that they completely flipped the culture of the team. It's a really good team. It's a close-knit team with a bunch of great people on it, and Toews chose it. So it has definitely ramped up anticipation for that home opener and the upcoming season, even maybe more than it normally would be coming off such a great year the Jets had on the ice last season.
So I got a quick question for you on that. Toews is obviously not brought in to replace Ehlers in that position in the lineup as a centerman versus Ehlers played more on the wing. Who do you picture stepping up into Ehlers' role on the wing and being a part of that line?
Gustav Nyquist. He was their off-season signing, 1-year deal, 2 years removed from a career year, 75 points with the Nashville Predators. So that's the guy that I think to begin the season will get that opportunity. He didn't have a great year last year. I mean, no one in Nashville did. And then he was traded to Minnesota and it was sort of pretty mid. But I would expect that it'll be Cole Perfetti and Toews and Nyquist as line two to begin the season. And if it goes well, they'll go with that. If not, they'll look to some other guys to maybe step up for a bigger opportunity. I mean, Brad Lambert, the former first-round pick who played with the Moose last year, will certainly go into training camp trying to show that he's ready for prime time. And I think, you know, with the offensive chops that he has and the speed that he has, he would be a player that, you know, if Nyquist was unavailable, for instance, you know, they might look to a player like that to get in. But certainly out of the gate, I think Nyquist is the guy with Toews and Perfetti. And, you know, if they have to make changes, they will. But he'll get the first crack at that spot for sure.
Nice.
Andrew Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk joins us on the Western Pizza guest hotline here. We're going to get to the Labor Day rematch, Bombers, Riders, but we're talking a little bit of hockey. Now, I know that you're in Winnipeg, but from my perspective, if we went back to the Western Conference final last year, I thought, because just how they played them in the regular season, that the Winnipeg Jets would have matched up better against the Edmonton Oilers than the Dallas Stars did against the Oilers. Do you feel in your heart of hearts, if it would have been Oilers-Jets, maybe Oilers win, but would it have been a closer or better series had those two teams met in the Western Conference final?
Yeah, you know what, Maz? I mean, listen, I do agree. I mean, the Jets have played well. And I mean, let's face it, these two teams played in 2021 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you know, with Draisaitl and with McDavid, and the Jets swept them. Mm-hmm. So they certainly have had. Listen, I think so much of that series did revolve around goaltending. And listen, Jake Ottinger was brilliant in the series against Winnipeg, and he was nowhere near that level in the series against Edmonton. But I do think, to your point, I mean, Edmonton really found their way around Dallas, and I think they were just a faster team for the most part. I mean, Dallas does a lot of things really well, but they didn't have the team speed, and they had a real tough time dealing with some of the things that the Oilers were bringing. So, listen, if you redid it, would I give the Jets a better chance? Well, put it this way. If you got A-level Hellebuck, 100%, I mean, that was sort of there at times in the playoffs. Other times it wasn't, although it certainly was trending better as the playoffs went on. So we'd like to think about that. But I guess here in Winnipeg, they'll hope that they'll get a chance to actually see how that happens in reality, winning a couple rounds next year and getting to that point. And let's face it, if you want to make it to the Stanley Cup final at some point, you're likely going to have to go through McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers.
Interesting you bring up Hellebuck, because the team that we're talking about them playing, the Edmonton Oilers, also aren't satisfied with their goaltending situation. And I don't think either of them should complain. I think they're both great young goaltenders with lots of future ahead of them. You got to remember, the guy who won in Florida is 37 or 38 years old. He's not 25. And these goaltenders are relatively young. So I think there's lots of mileage in front of both of those goaltenders.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got a lot of time for Stuart Skinner. I think it was I think he got into that role maybe sooner than was expected. But I mean, listen, he played well enough. He won the job and he stuck with it. I mean, Edmonton fans are a little nuts, if you ask me. I mean, they were so spoiled. They were so spoiled through the 80s, with Gretzky and Messier and all that. And then they go through the decade of darkness, blow number one pick after number one pick, and then get gifted with Connor McDavid. And it's just sort of their back. Like, I mean, they're so fortunate for having what they do have. It's like, and I mean, Dustin Nielsen, who's my partner on the Lock Shop, who does the morning show in Edmonton, they have so much fun with the way that people just turn on guys so fast in that market. And there's always some whipping boy. And listen, that's not exclusive. It's not exclusive to Edmonton.
No.
But I think it's cranked up a little bit more in that market, as opposed to some, certainly here in Winnipeg. So he is still a young goaltender with a very bright future. And the funny thing is, as everyone tries to run him out of town and get some new guy, there's no guarantee that that new guy is going to be much better. And I do think that Stuart Skinner has a really bright future. And maybe without the spotlight and all the pressure that goes with being the goaltender on a team with McDavid, on a team that's expected to win every single night, he might do better going forward. But listen, the guy lost his job. He regained it. He's been to the Cup final 2 years in a row. Most teams and most fan bases would take that, to be frank.
But nobody's questioning Hellebuck yet, even though he didn't help Winnipeg get through the second round. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, no, people are certainly questioning him. I mean, if you you can be the best player in the world, but if you don't play at that level that you have been accustomed to playing, people will be asking what happened. I mean, listen, he had 2 shutouts in the series against Dallas. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, the game that they lost, they scored 1 goal. So, listen, the first series was not normal Hellebuck. I mean, he was really shaky. And listen, to the team's credit, they battled through it. And to Hellebuck's credit, they battled through it. I mean, game 7, he was down 2-0. Basically went in the lineup, said, guys, get us to the thing. If there's not another one that's going in. And he did exactly that. So, listen, you won't find many people going at Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg. The guy just won the first Hart Trophy in the history of the team. He's got 3 Vezina trophies. He's going to be going straight to the Hall of Fame. But the one thing that is incomplete for Hellebuck is, another great playoff run and hopefully eventually winning a Stanley Cup. And that's clearly his goal. But yeah, you won't find many people in Winnipeg signing up for any sort of a swap of Hellebuck for anybody right now. I mean, have another playoff runs. I mean, maybe at some point you ask, what the story is, but right now he's their franchise. He's their best player. They got to worry maybe about Kyle Connor's contract, but Hellebuck signed, sealed, and delivered. Lucky, thankful to have him, and hopefully he can raise his level even more come next year's playoffs, assuming they make it.
All right. On behalf of Tourism Regina, I want to personally thank you and everybody you brought with you last weekend for supporting our economy. You were in town for the Labor Day Classic. You guys rolled how many deep on buses coming to the game? Because you guys represented well. I mean, Bombers always travel well to Labor Day, but how many? I saw your pictures on your social media. How many of there were you last Sunday in Regina?
Well, I mean, I can't tell you the entire contingent. I can tell you, we did a bus last year. We did 2 this year. I mean, there were groups that had 4 and 5. I'll just say this, and I've been done Labor Day for a long time. Had to show up 8 times to finally see a win. Things have kind of gotten a little more even the last few years. The Bombers are more competitive. But we certainly earned that first victory, that final game in the old stadium. But it really felt this past weekend like Labor Day, the Labor Day Regina experience was back. I think there was probably twice as many Bomber fans this past weekend as there were a year ago. And that was more than the last couple of years coming out of the pandemic. It was awesome. I mean, we got to downtown, we checked into the hotel, and you just looked outside on the street and you saw 15 Bomber fans in different groups walking around. So it was phenomenal. I mean, the Bombers do a great job, and I got to give Wade Miller credit. People ask, how the Bombers develop this passionate fan base so well? A lot of it goes to the job that the team has done. And, Wade is a former player, I think gets the fans more than a lot of maybe executives do that are a little more detached. And they came down that Crave bar, which is right downtown close to our hotel. They take it over on the Saturday night. They invite every Bomber fan that's come out, and they said, we're buying a beer for every one of you. You get there. They had the cheerleaders there. They gave a ticket out to every single Bomber fan that went through. And guys, it was the most packed place that I've been in a long time. Absolute sardines on the patio, in the 2 main rooms. I mean, you couldn't really stay that long just because you couldn't move, but it was amazing to get everyone together. And that's the sort of thing that I think gets people to realize they're really appreciated by the organization, as well as, really throw their support behind the team. So they did a great job. That was a lot of fun to start things off. And then I want to shout out the Rider fans. Because, listen, we have a lot of fun with this rivalry and there's cracks back and forth, but it really is good-natured, a lot of fun. And they were so welcoming. And a lot of them came up and said, you know what, I want to thank you guys for coming because you guys make this weekend what it is. And, it was appreciated. We had a great time partying with them beforehand and afterwards and, taking our lumps after the game. But that is what this rivalry is all about. And the fact of the matter is, as much as we give shots Manitoba Sask, I mean, listen, we're all prairie people right here. There's not a lot different between the two provinces when we all really want to admit it. So it's the best party of the year in the regular season, bringing everyone together. And now with what's happened with the Banjo Bowl becoming a big thing here, and that's been the one game that's always been sold out. Well, now every game is sold out. And I'm hoping we see a lot of people in green coming in. I just saw one of the Rider supporter podcasts is doing a bus, and they're on the road right now, coming out here right now. So certainly encourage people. It's a little easier for us to do it with the long weekend and having that day to come back, but that's why they moved this game to Saturday. So Rider fans could come out and then have the Sunday to get back in time to work. So I will say getting tickets now is a little harder than it maybe has been in the past. But it's a heck of a good time. And I know there's a lot planned in the city tonight with the Banjo Bowl party beforehand and that goes into it. So we're hoping that the Banjo Bowl as a weekend can get to where Labor Day is right now. But as far as the games, bottom line, it's the best thing the CFL has going. There's going to be a lot of asses in seats in both of these stadiums through 2 days and 2 great football teams going at it on the field.
Your thoughts as we get into this game with the loss here last weekend, what does it look like for the Bombers? What are they going to do differently to make sure that they come out on top when they had trouble running the ball, weren't able to do that? The Rider defense, 5 sacks. What What does Winnipeg regroup and look at?
Well, I mean, listen, a little bit more success on the line of scrimmage, I think, is the easy answer. I mean, it is outrageous that the Bombers that Brady Oliveira rushed 5 times. I know he had a 14-yarder that was moved back on a penalty, but for them to start that way and then have Oliveira only touch the ball 10 times, and a few of them were just sort of desperation dump-offs in the passing game, that's not Blue Bomber football. And listen, the Riders, this was the number 1 and 2 rush defenses in the league going into that game. Listen, it wasn't like the Riders were running all over the Bombers in the first half, but they stuck with it, and they kept on breaking down the Bomber defensive line by having a commitment to running A.J. Ouellette. And the Bombers got away from that. Now, listen, I'm going to be talking out of two sides of my mouth here, because at the same time, the Bomber passing offense was maybe as dynamic as it's been all season long. I mean, everybody stepped up. I mean, Claircy has had a huge catch. I mean, Wheatfall, hell, if Zach hits him on the run on that one play in the first half, that's another touchdown, about 80 yards. Came up a little short. But overall, they started clicking a lot more. So there is something to be said to that. But listen, Brady Oliveira needs to be part of this game. Like, defensively, I'm not sure how much better the Bombers can be against that Rider offense. I mean, Trevor Harris passed for 1 touchdown and 219 yards. I mean, you guys have the numbers. That's probably his quietest game passing all season long, if not very, very close to it. And again, they stuck with Ouellette and they wore them down, and then they brought in Williams for a couple carries, and boom, he's in the end zone. So I think they were more committed to their game plan when it came to running the football. I think the Bombers got away from it, and then, you know, when things weren't going well in the second half, they weren't able to kind of stay on the field and move the ball, and Saskatchewan really sort of took over. I mean, I joked afterwards that the Bombers, I mean, as crazy as the ending was, the Bombers getting to within 2-point convert of winning it. And thankfully, for those of us that bet on the 4.5-point spread, the Bombers actually covered the spread, which they, at one point, they had no business doing. The crazy thing is that, you know, if Jason Hogan maybe cooks up a bit better of a play call, we could have been talking about overtime or a game that the Bombers won. So, I mean, listen, it is a crazy football league, and these games are always nuts. It's funny that the pick 2 that we're looking at right here made it a 4-point game. The game closed at 4, so there was a massive amount of pushes based on this play. But if he'd just gone down, for instance, or if it was incomplete, it would have been a 2-point game, and I believe that would have made it 5 of the last 6 Labor Day Classics that finished with a 2-point differential, which is wild. But I mean, overall, listen, Winnipeg, I think, needs to be a little bit better in a lot of areas, and you know, maybe get a little bit of good fortune, because this SAS team is going to be up for it. They have showed all year long that they are right there at the top of the power poll with, of course, the Calgary Stampeders, who've been the nemesis of both of these teams that are playing tomorrow. And, you know, hopefully they can feed off the crowd. And the crowd's been a big, big part of it. I mean, I've seen Bomber teams that aren't as good as Saskatchewan run away with Banjo Bowls when things start going downhill. And that's what it felt like happened last week at Mosaic. It felt like that game got completely away from the Bombers and was over. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, when the fumble on the punt return and the Bombers all of a sudden had life and got right into it and certainly gave a scare into everyone at the stadium. But they've got their work cut out for them tomorrow against a Rider team that the way they play football, that travels even in an atmosphere like Princess Auto Stadium.
From Winnipeg Sports Talk, Andrew Paterson joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. And Dalton Schoen, it came out today, he's on the 6th game, and then we find out he tore his ACL against Calgary, and he manned up and he played last week. Maybe you guys in the media knew this, but I've always liked the guy. I've always loved how he played, hard-nosed, tough football. You hear this to be like ultimate respect. To go and do that, knowing how big of a game this was. He's on the shelf for what, at least a year, Hustler? Like, Dalton Schoen, just to me, just top-notch caliber guy.
Yeah, I mean, a warrior, man. That's what football is about. Are you hurt? Are you injured? I mean, he was both. Managed to sit out for 6 games and then returned to practice, ran around a bit, and said he was good to go. And like, he wasn't just a decoy or something. He was targeted 7 times. He caught 5 balls, caught a touchdown that potentially was going to tie the game in dramatic fashion. But we saw him limping off after the 2-point convert, and it was pretty clear that something wasn't right. Announced today that he's out for the season for the 2nd straight year, same knee. It's tragic. I mean, for him particularly, and for the league. I mean, you remember he came in as a rookie, he led the league in receiving. I mean, he had like 15 or 16 touchdowns. He was phenomenal. And then the season got cut short very early last year, and then tried to play through it and come back and just wasn't able to. So wishing him nothing but a full recovery, and hopefully he can resume his career and get back here to Winnipeg. But for the Bombers, it's a devastating loss because it was sort of like they chose Schoen over Kenny Lawler. We're getting reminded every single week what we're missing in Kenny Lawler, who's arguably the number 1 receiver in the league and flourishing in Hamilton. And the Bombers are going to hope they'll get a boost from Pokey Wilson, who came back from the NFL. He's going to play this week. Quick turnaround for him. Not quite as quick as Joe last week. I couldn't believe he was in the lineup. I was in the NFL 48 hours before the game, and all of a sudden he's making impact plays. But their offense isn't what it has been before, which is part of the reason why I think they really need to get back to what their bread and butter is, which is Brady Oliveira and that offensive line. But again, easier said than done against a team that can stop the run the way Saskatchewan does.
All right, we got about 30 seconds left, and I follow you on Twitter, and it sounds like you only win when you bet. So I'm just going to go with that. What's the line? What should people be betting tomorrow? And because I am not a gambler, that's Barney's territory. But where are we at? And if we were going to put some action on this,
okay. Well, I'm looking right now, and this has basically been a pick 'em all week. I mean, essentially, even on both sides, whoever you think you're going to win, bet that. The Bombers are now a 1.5 point favorite, and they're a very, very slight favorite. And I think a lot of people are just looking at Banjo Bowl history, and obviously the home crowd advantage, and think that Winnipeg will be able to get it back. I'm going to go with my heart on this one and back the Bombers, but even the biggest Bomber fan, I think, has to agree that on a neutral field, the Bombers this Bomber team are underdogs to Saskatchewan, and they're going to need to be at their best if they want to win. But the one thing I'll say about Winnipeg is they have set the bar so high, and over again, they've come up big in these games. So they get the benefit of the doubt. We'll go with them. But if we woke up on Sunday morning talking about the Riders being 10-2, it would not be a shock. That's why this game is so tight.
Okay, so I'm not going to put every mortgage payment this month on the game.
Do that on the Chiefs tonight.
Oh, the Chiefs. We'll have to come get you back on to talk NFL. And you're probably in the wedding party because you are a huge Chiefs fan, the Taylor news and all that. So Andrew Paterson, Winnipeg Sports Talks, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Have 2 at the Rum Hut for us because we know the lines are long. Never only get a single, right?
I will be. It's like a nightclub there now. Unbelievable, all the young people. I'm not probably going to be in the wedding party, but funny enough, Zach Caleros probably will be as one of the closest friends of the Kelsey boys. So who knows? Maybe we'll get some. Maybe we'll get a report from QB1 on the festivities. But enjoy Banjo Bowl weekend, and once again, thanks for the great hospitality from all the Rider fans last week. We had a hell of a time, and looking forward to doing it again 51 weeks from now.